Hello and welcome to Adding a Contact to Command Explained. In order to add a contact to Command, the first thing you need to do once you've logged in is come over here to the left hand side where we see the two people, and you're just going to select that tab. That's going to take us through to the contact section of Command. What you're going to see in the contact section is any of the contacts you've previously added to your system. So they're going to populate here in this center screen as they open up, and you'll be able to see them as well as any tags or information that you've put in. In order to add a new contact, you're just going to come up here to the right hand side and select Add Contact, and that's going to populate this information box that's going to allow you to put in all the contact information you need for the particular person that you're adding. So you can just go through and fill in all of the fields. The first section is just mainly their contact information. So you're just going to fill this out as you normally would with anybody. And you can assign the owner as well. So if you are in a team, you could apply it to the team or you can apply it to yourself. Now this section here, mark as lead or add to sales pipeline, depends on the type of contact that you're adding in. If I mark this contact as a lead, then that just puts them into my lead pool, which you can see over here on the left hand side. If I add them to my sales pipeline, however, that actually allows them to go into my database and be marked as a contact. And that gives me more options in regard to how I'm inputting people into my system. So depending on what type of contact it is, you're just going to select accordingly. The tag section is actually one of the most important sections within Command because everything in Command is set up through tags. So what you're going to do here is add as many tags as you can think of that make sense for this client. So for example, you might want to put in past client, and you can select that. You might want to write in family. Now family in my system doesn't actually exist yet. So what happens when you type something in that doesn't already exist as a tag is that it gives you the option here to create a custom tag. So I'm just going to click right on create a custom tag. I can pick the color I want that tag to be. I'm just going to hit add. So now that family tag is going to exist in my system. I can also add them to my sphere of influence. I could call them a seller or a buyer, whatever you can think of to create a tag for that person. That's what you want to do. And the more specific the tags are, the more it's going to allow you to really customize the use of your database. So the more you know about people, the better. And then the more information you input, the better in regard to making your touches and reach outs to your clients more specific. So a lot of people will just have one or two generic tags here. And you don't want to do that, especially with leads. You want to make sure that you have it clear who might be a buyer lead, who might be a seller lead, and potentially even where that lead came from if it was a farm or something like that. So once you're done adding in your tags, you can just continue to scroll down. The next step is additional contact information. You want to fill this out as best you can. So for example, I know that text would be her favorite method of communication. So I'm going to select that as a reminder that that's how I'm going to mainly communicate with her. And then I can add in her email address. I could add in a second phone number if I wanted to, a work number, something along those lines. And their home address, you can just start to type the address, and it should auto-populate the address that you're looking for, okay? If it doesn't, don't worry. It will actually give you an option to input the address manually, and you can just select Input Manual Address and fill in all the fields accordingly. So you can still put that person in even if it doesn't auto-populate the address itself, okay? If it's the same as the mailing address, you want to select that also, and then that's to make sure that it will pull up on any mail out list you do. And then you can also link their social media profiles. So what I can do here is add, I know Cease has a Facebook page. So I can actually just go right to Facebook. And this is, if you don't know how to add this URL, go right to Facebook and you can just search for the person that you're looking for. So once their page loads and you'll be able to see that it is the right contact, their URL is just up here at the very top of the page. So you can just simply highlight that and copy it, and then go right back into Command, and I can plug that in just by pasting it in here. and then it'll just stay in that section. Now, if they also have an Instagram profile or LinkedIn, you can just hit add profile here on the right and drop this down, and it'll give you the option to choose other profiles as well. And you would do the same thing, just get the URL from their personal page and paste it into this section, okay? Now I'm going to go to the About section. This is where I'm going to put in their birthday, their home anniversary if I have it, legal name, description if I want to fill this section out. Again, this isn't necessary. However, the more information we have in the system, the better, right? I can put in their birthday, which I'm not going to do right now. Home anniversary, if you know when they bought the house. And then I can add in their spouse as well. So in this instance, there aren't any options currently because I don't have her linked to anybody. But I can add in Paul here as her husband. And what's going to happen is, because he's not in my system yet, you're going to notice this add button on the right actually turns green. So I can just add him now, and he will go into my system and be linked to Cease as a spouse. Now I could also add more. I could add if they had kids. I could add their business partners, their daughter, their siblings, all that sort of stuff. So I could link an entire household if I wanted to, but right now that's not necessary. Now if I want to, again, I could put in their work information. I do happen to know that Cease works at Keller Williams, so that makes things easy. And you can put in their job title if you want that too. That's really good to have when you want to make sure that you have good reminders when you're making your care calls and things like that. Sales pipeline is where they came from and what type of contact or lead are they. So the stage here, capture just means it's a lead. So you've captured their contact information, whether it's online, through phone call, a referral, an open house. Connected means you have a relationship with them. You've met with them, you've spoken with them. So we're going to select connected here. And then because it's not a lead type from a list, I'm not putting in where the lead came from. I'm going to say select from contacts, okay? And then from there, I could say that I got this person from my contacts. So I could, in theory, say that I know Cease because of Dylan, and I could link them that way. You don't have to put anybody in here. It's just for referrals and stuff. That's a really great way to track it. And then the custom section at the bottom is just if you wanted to add any additional information or add any additional fields that you had that weren't already in the section up here. Once you're done, you're just going to hit create. And then the person is going to go into your database and you'll be able to see them there. So now if I come back here and I search and I just type in Cease's name or start to type it, she'll populate here in my list of contacts, and I'll be able to click on her, go into her profile, and do anything else that I need to do. So that's the first way of adding a contact, and that's how you're going to do it when you're adding in, your contacts from your lead generation, if they're not coming through online leads, or if you get a referral or things of that nature. If you're trying to do a full import from another database, or you have a large group of people that you're trying to add in at the same time, you can come here to the import button on the right hand side and select that. Now the first step here is to make sure that you download this pre-made CSV for the command system. So this CSV looks a particular way and has the columns and the information in a specific order. What you have to do is use this CSV format and put all of your contact information from your other system or wherever you're getting it from into this CSV. Do not change the order of the columns. Do not change the lines. Don't delete anything. Just start right here adding them in. Now you don't need all this information. You can just put in enough to upload it. So, first name, last name, phone number, email is really all you need. However, you can go through and put in as much as possible, okay? This can take a little time if you're doing a lot of people. But once you're done with this, you're going to save it onto your computer as a file and then come back in, open import again, and then go right here to drag and drop or browse your file. Click on that, and it's going to allow you to find the file you just saved, select it, and upload it into the system. And that will cause a mass import into your command system with everybody on that CSV list, okay? So those are the two main ways that you can add contacts into your system. Now, there is a third way, but it only works for certain programs, and it's called PiSync. So if you go to up here on the right-hand side where you see your name and your profile picture, and I drop this down, I go to settings, this is going to take me into my command settings, the back end of the system. This is where I can link all of my different accounts to Command, and that's a whole other video, so we'll get to that later. But this is also where you find PiSync. So if you come into this section and you scroll down under applications, at this point you may have stuff connected, you might not. It depends on how much you've used Command. But there is one you'll find called PiSync. Now you need to connect PiSync into your system first. So if it's not connected, do that first. Once it's connected, you're going to see it in a list like this. And what you're going to do is go to Show Details. Now down here, you can see that I actually linked it to my Google Contacts so that I could import my contacts into the system from my Google account, my Gmail account, instead of having to put them onto a CSV file and import them. And that made it a lot faster. You can do it for Google Contacts, and if you click here on Connect More, you'll actually see that there's a bunch of different programs. So if you're using any of the programs listed in this list, you can use PiSync to import the data directly from that system. It does have a lot of the systems that we use on here. It does not have all of them, so you do have to go through it and see if your system is here. So Outlook, Microsoft Exchange, iCloud, and so on. There are a ton, as you can see, a ton of different programs. We obviously don't use all of these. Unfortunately, some of the bigger database systems that people are used to using, like Top Producer and that, are not in here. Follow Up Boss is. And you can take a look through here and see what systems make sense for you, or if you can take advantage of this PiSync. LionDesk is here as well for those of you using LionDesk. Same with MailChimp. So those are the 3 ways that you can add contacts into your database, into your Command database, depending on what approach you want to take or what you need to do. Are you doing a full import, or are you just simply adding a handful of contacts each day? So I hope that was helpful, and thanks for listening.